Turf is a platformer released for current and last gen consoles, and god it feels weird calling the PS5 current gen. It's similar to how I can't believe it's 2022 in a couple of weeks, and how I'm 26 next year. Shit life, do you want to slow the fuck down? I'm still processing my childhood trauma I can't be dealing with the last couple of years, but never mind about that. What is Demon Turf? Not to be confused with Demon Turf, which is a hellborn entity with some harmful views about trans people. Demon Turf follows Beals, a small imp demon thing who one day decides to overthrow the Demon King and take over the realm because she wants to, I think. I'm not gonna lie, her motives aren't really that clear. Maybe it's just a move to take a few dickheads down a peg, who knows. In order to do this, she needs to collect batteries in a rather unsubtle allegory for gaining power, and defeat 4 big bosses to get to the king, to the best of my knowledge. I say that about the batteries, apparently they use to power the portals and bridges of this world, so they totally 100% aren't just some kind of MacGuffin, no really. The game is divided into multiple hub worlds and each have 7 levels within them, not including the boss. You visit the hub worlds in linear order but can tackle the game's levels in any order you choose. I'm not really sure I dig this. It means that either each stage has to be approximately the same length and level of challenge, otherwise the game's difficulty curve is going to waver up and down a lot. Demon Turf kinda does both. First area, all the maps are basically the same difficulty, which got a bit dull, at least until the first boss, but we'll talk about him later. Then the next 2 areas, the game throws a mixed bag at you. It's a shame. Whilst I wasn't overly challenged in the first region, I found the game was at least consistent. Not the biggest issue, I suppose. You don't have limited lives or anything, so you can keep trying in a level until you win. By the way, like, share, subscribe, that whole deal. One level had so much irritating bollocks in the first quarter that I ended up blowing all my checkpoints before I hit the halfway point. Oh yeah, I should mention that you can place your own checkpoints. Honestly, I like this mechanic more in theory than in practice. The difference between a game designer and the player is that the dev knows what they're putting in the level and where an appropriate place for a checkpoint could be. Well, that's the theory anyway, I know some devs miss that little point. I, as the player, don't know this. Some levels are so short and piss easy that you won't use any checkpoints at all, and some are much longer and packed with so much bollocks that I couldn't reliably estimate where I needed one. A thing worth pointing out as well, and I feel like I use this description a lot in life at the moment when discussing games, but the levels aren't so much difficult as they are frustrating. See, Beals has a 3D hitbox but has a 2D sprite, so gauging depth can be a struggle. Her shadow helps a little bit, but it still feels like a crapshoot when platforming. What's worse is Beals is a bit slidey and won't stop when you tell her to, and seems to suffer from a bit of a rounded hitbox because I found it very easy to just slide off platforms to my death. One level I particularly dislike is set in the second region, which is a random sunny tropical desert island place because reasons. It has the player needing to climb a volcano. The path is a combination of these platforms that appear and vanish in sync with your jumps, fair enough. Would be better if the game didn't register me making more jumps than I actually made, therefore dropping me into the water and forcing me to start again, but oh well. Then, to get to the top of the volcano, you need to take a slow-ass elevator, but I kept sliding off the platform and then having to start all over again. Eventually I ended up using a checkpoint before the lift, which I wanted to avoid doing because if I died again, up on the volcano itself, I'd have to ride the whole fucking elevator again. Once I got into the volcano, I had to contend with these sinky lava platforms, but to be honest, that bit was actually kind of fun, so at least the game got there in the end. But everything leading up to that was just a pain in the ass. Either way, once you beat all of the 7 areas and you've got all your batteries, you can confront the big boss of the region. The first dude is a giant pig man who fills the whole screen and is hard to track because of his size, and whose attacks are basically insta-kill punches. You need to pull these rings out of his arm to bring him down, a task for which you are literally handed the tool to complete as you walk in the level. You set foot in here and your little mate goes, "Hey, look, a convenient tool that you need to defeat the boss is just lying here." Question, Demon Turf. Rather than hunting batteries, could we not have been hunting these tools and power-ups that we're going to need in order to beat the boss? Like maybe they're separated into components and we have to search each level for the component in order to mend them so that we can fight the boss. Makes more sense than store-brand looking batteries. Anyway, pig dude. We learned from this encounter that bosses have 3 stages and the game gives you checkpoints. Wait, checkpoints? So you can figure out where a helpful checkpoint can be placed, can you, Demon Turf? Then why am I lugging all these flags around? Why do I have to do this? Anyway, he was a pain. His attacks are hard to deal with because he is so physically massive, and phase 1 and 2 I died so many times because I couldn't see his arms coming for me. Either he'll punch you, which just kills you instantly, or he'll swipe you off the map. You might be able to get back on if you're lucky, but otherwise you fall into this grid of lasers. Phase 3 was somehow his easiest because all you had to do was dodge an occasional missile and then grapple hook away when he got close. What's weird though was the second boss was piss easy. He's this giant armoured crab dude who can shoot at you and has only one exploitable weakness, though one you need to exhaust him to access. Sounds like he should pose more of a threat than an oversized pig, right? Wrong. You just run around in circles with a new speedy power-up you were handed as you walked in the door. I only died a couple of times in phase 3. I liked his design, shame he was a complete punk. And that viewer closes the book on the bosses I saw in the game. I got through Desert Land, which is your starting area, then the second area, which was Island Land. I'm still not entirely sure why it's a tropical island land, but it doesn't really matter. Only to get to City Land, and this is where the game decides to go all out. Here it throws toggle platforms, sticky walls, slippery floors, roads that drop into the abyss, and curse challenges at you. Curse challenges basically take away your ability to jump and make you navigate a short and simple puzzle without it. Fine, I suppose, but the jumping is kind of fun, so forgive me if these bits don't feel like they're very enjoyable. One of them has a slippery floor with no railings anywhere for the whole stretch. You know, like an arsehole. To be honest, I stopped playing around this region because the map's puzzles all began getting overly annoying and the levels felt way the fuck longer. One of them I literally couldn't progress in because I had to find 6 keys, but the search zone was a short dead-end road with nowhere to look. Nothing before this because that was a race section. Also, if you're going to do timed races, game, let us see the damn timer, not much to ask, is it? Sorry, just interrupting myself here. When I said, please show us the timer for races, what I actually meant was the ring races that had appeared in an earlier stage. You couldn't see a timer for them, but you can see it for the foot races. That was a criticism. I was supposed to make that criticism. I've only just noticed now while I'm putting the video together that I didn't get that right, so my bad. I just like to know how long I have to beat the challenge, that's all. So I was thoroughly defeated by Region 3. Pardon me. Though if I'm honest, I'd mostly been neutral-faced whilst playing this game up until then, so I can't say I was overly invested. A few levels were alright here and there, but the thing is, the game tops out at mediocre. There was never a moment where I felt myself leaning forward absorbed whilst playing this. When it comes right down to it, it's just an alright platformer. Maybe if you don't have Nintendo and you really want to play a game that reminds you of Super Paper Mario or something, then Demon Turf is for you, because the characters do look like paper cutouts. Otherwise, I don't really know who this game is marketed towards. I guess kids? I mean, I've argued before and I guess I'll argue again, that this is not an excuse for lousy game design, even if it does feel a bit harsh this time. The levels are mostly alright. Not amazing, but competent enough. Controls are responsive for the most part. The game does work to add replay value by changing things in previously completed levels so you'll want to go back and explore them. Effort definitely went in, that's what I'm saying. I'm not mad at Demon Turf, I just don't care about it, to be honest. It's part of why this video was delayed, it's just I couldn't get into the mood to talk about it. Still, more interesting than Godfall, but then anything looks good when compared to a pile of wank. So, Demon Turf. Not for me, but the more I look back on it, the less poorly disposed I feel towards it. As I said, it's just an okay platformer. I really wish I had more fear, but I don't. Though I was getting frustrated at the end, I had an overall okay time. That's kind of all I have to say, really. So that's it for this week. It's the Xmas Day in less than a week. God, that's coming quick. Don't worry, children, there will still be a video. I live alone and half my family have COVID, so it's not like I'm going anywhere. Anyway, hope you will stay safe and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, be sure to check out the other content available on the channel and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. You can also support the channel on Patreon from as little as £1 a month. Check out the link in the description. Thanks in advance and we'll see you next time.